introduce them, or do you want to introduce, how do you want to do it? Well, why don't you do Nancy, because you work with her.
Yep.
Why don't we go with Nancy first? And
Yep.
then Paul?
Perfect.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And can we take a picture?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
How you doing?
So why don't we call the meeting to order at 6:01. This is the first meeting that we've had together in a year and a half, so it's nice to see everyone. It's nice to know everyone has pants on during the meeting. This is great. So if it's all right, can we go out of order and do a couple of thank yous before we go into the
Yes.
portion of the meeting? So first one would be if we could, we're going to recognize Nancy Santilli for her retirement.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, I forgot.
Sorry, Nancy.
We'll do that. I'm out of routine. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, Brendan, thank you very much. I had it written down, too.
I have to defer the thanks to my colleague to my right. Kelly Lehman reminded me.
Kelly, thank you. So, Brendan, do you want to begin?
Sure, thank you. So we are here tonight to have a regular monthly meeting, but also to recognize two of our long-serving, one staff member, one recreation commissioner. And I'm going to start with Nancy Santilli. Nancy started about the same time I did with the Parks and Recreation Department back in 2000 and has been a valuable member of our staff ever since. She came on originally to cover lunches for our office staff and to help out with registrations of people coming in, and quickly took on more and more roles, I think, as was her upbringing, is to help out wherever she could. And those roles consisted of the old big paper book, keeping field permits, but with Nancy's help and expertise and familiarization with our registration system, we were able to put them online. So they're a little smoother now and less time consuming. She's also been our first point of contact for people coming into the office and calling the office, so both in person and on the phone. And we are learning life post-Nancy now, which is not easy. So Nancy has been a valuable member, as I mentioned, of our office, working with the public. By the response we saw on Facebook after we announced that Nancy's last day was July 31st, you can tell what type of valuable member she was to our office. Helped everyone out with everything, and we're here to recognize her 21 years of service to the town of Burlington, and more specifically the Parks and Recreation Department.
All right, Brendan, thank you. You know, and just a comment on behalf of the commission. You know, we always, everything came from you over all these years. You get a Nancy Santilli agenda and everything else, and you're the friendly face that everyone sees when they come to the recreation department, and you know, we really appreciate it. And it's nice that we can finally do this in person and just say thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me tonight. I really appreciate this. It's difficult for me. It's been wonderful 21 years. I really enjoyed working for Parks and Recreation and just being able to help people and support and working with wonderful people and just meeting so many wonderful people in town and so forth. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and just every aspect of the job that I did. And I'm gonna miss it. It's just something I enjoyed, and I've seen so many changes. I've mentioned to Brendan and Kelly as well that so many changes in the department in those 21 years. Just watch it go from one point to where it is now, and it's amazing. It's like a totally different department, and for the better. So
Excellent. Does,
Thanks everybody.
does anyone have a comment or anything before we give her?
I'll just add my congratulations. Ray and Nancy's two boys, the same age as my two oldest kids, so we've kind of gone the journey together through all these things, so it's nice to see you here tonight and being recognized for all that you've done. And
Thank you. Thank you.
I come from a wonderful family, and congratulations, and best of luck going forward.
Okay, Steve?
Yeah, I just want to wish you a long and happy and healthy retirement, Nancy. As Tom said, we go back a long way as well. Ray and I served on Ways and Means Committee back in the early mid-'90s, so I've known the Santilli family for a long, long time. Our kids also went to school together, so we'd see each other at school events and things like that. I've only been on the commission for a little over a year now, but I've heard so many glowing compliments about your service to the Recreation Commission and how sad everyone was that you were going, but I'm hoping you have a wonderful and a happy retirement and a long one.
Thank you.
And Ray too.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Oh, Paul?
I will
Yes,
miss
no,
everybody.
I have a little card with some things on it, and one is to say thank you to Nancy Santilli for the whole staff, but Nancy used to always call. I come home and Jane said, Nancy called and said, don't forget. So she kept me in all of these, so thank you very much.
Very welcome, Paul, it's been a pleasure.
Anything on this side? Okay.
So Nancy, I would just reiterate what they all said. Thank you for your service to Burlington, and I really hope you and your husband enjoy your retirement. You've earned it, and with your kids and your growing family, I just wish you nothing but the best, and thank you for everything that you've done for us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And for me, it was just very easy to do it because I just enjoyed it so much.
Oh, thank you.
So it didn't seem like work at all.
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
Some days.
Chairman.
Some days, some days.
Yeah, I'd also like to wish Nancy the best. I think I have interfaced with Nancy over the years with her in the rec department and, with the programs that we've all done together. And I think I get the benefit of the board where I live a couple of houses down from Nancy, so my interface with Nancy will not be over. And again, best wishes in your retirement, Nancy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. So, Nancy, we have some flowers for you, and we want to take a picture also. Can everyone be in the picture?
Sure.
You can all be 12 feet apart. So Nancy, you can tell I ordered the flowers because when I order flowers, there's always a ribbon on it, so yours says retired
As
on
long
it.
as it doesn't say something else, I'm okay.
So why don't we come over here? Do you want to come over?
Why don't, she can stand in front, and we'll stand in back. Does that
Okay.
work?
Whatever you
Nancy.
prefer.
It's kind of heavy. Can we get a picture?
Of course, yeah.
How's this?
Brendan, I can't see.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We can move over, we can move over.
Absolutely.
Hold on.
I got a few presentations.
All right.
Thank you.
So let me hand those to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Oh, wait, I think you get the base too.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Yep.
So the second part of the thank yous is to our former Commissioner, Paul Raymond. He was with us for 18 years, is the count.
Yep.
And I have to say, I really enjoyed all the years. I learned so much from you right from the beginning, like being on time. But just your years of wisdom and what you shared with the commission and your insight on things, how things work in the town. And, you come in from the planning board, but at the same time, once you're here on the rec commission, you are all in on everything. And you weren't a second, an extension, you were a commissioner. And I appreciate everything you did for us. And, the town's a better place because of you, not just on the recreation, but everything you've done on the planning board and everything else you've done in the town and the community. So I just want to say thank you. I'm glad we're finally having a public meeting to say thank you. And because if we had to do this on Zoom, you wouldn't be here. But thank you. And I know probably some of the other commissioners would like to say a few words as well.
Paul, I would just, congratulations on it, for everything you've done for this community. The one thing over the 5 years working with you is your passion for the town in everything. Sometimes I might not have agreed with you, but you always had your words, and you were so passionate and believed what you were doing for the town was the right thing, and I absolutely admire you for that. It's a great thing to have, to love the community that you live in, and I know I love my community, and I'll take what you taught me for your passion to this town with me forward. So thank you for that, and Godspeed. I wish you nothing but the best going forward. Thank you.
And Bill,
Sure.
Now you have big shoes to fill.
Yeah, absolutely, huge shoes to fill there with Paul. But again, with all that Paul's taught me on the planning board, now continue to work with Paul on the planning board, so it's a benefit I have to continue to work with Paul on that. But again, all the feedback that he's given to the planning board from being a rec commissioner, I use that as a benchmark, and certainly can't replace him, but certainly will try to do the best I can, Paul. Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone on this side?
Just congratulations, and I know we'll continue to see you around. I've enjoyed the years that we've been doing this together. I don't know how many it's been now, 7 or 8 probably anyway. And I get to know you a little bit personally, that I've always seen you around and been at meetings with you and whatnot, but I've enjoyed interacting with you, enjoyed watching you at work, and you do a good job, as everybody all knows, and thank you for your efforts, and good luck.
Yeah, we go way back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of years ago.
Steve, do you
Yeah,
want to?
just a couple of quick comments. Paul and I go back even further than Ray and Nancy. If any of you remember Gino's before it
Oh,
became
sure.
Gino's, I mean Papagino's before it became Papagino's,
Yes,
it was
Gino's.
a Gino's
Gino's, yeah.
restaurant. That was
Yep.
that was my first job. And Paul's daughter worked there. So I've known Paul's family for many years, and one of his other daughters was close friends with my sister. And so I would drop my sister off at Paul's house occasionally, and so that's when I first met you, way back when. And then I've interacted with you as a school committee member over the years and on some subcommittees that we've been on, and it's just always a pleasure to be on a committee with you, because your insight and your knowledge, and as Dave said, your passion for things that are happening in the community and how to make the community better is unrivaled. So thanks for all your years of service, Paul. It's appreciated. Your wit and your wisdom are going to be missed.
I drove down to Fairfax many times.
I know. So we'll miss you, Paul, but I hope you have an ongoing, healthy, and happy retirement.
Brendan? Do you-
Sure. I would also like to thank Paul for his many years of service to the Recreation Commission, and thank you for always being a staunch supporter of recreation, or Parks and Recreation, all over the place, but especially in Burlington. I could always count on a good article coming from you from the Boston Globe or some other publication that you found, and they were always timely, so thank you very much. And we always knew, I'm going to speak on behalf of the staff, that we had an ally in you when it came time to stand up for something we believed in. You were always an ally for us. And I will miss your mid-meeting stories that you always had for us, something that related to a topic we were talking about. They were always timely and always gave us a good chuckle. So thank you very much for that as well.
And Paul, do you want to say something?
Yes, I do.
As a matter of fact.
And I remember, you asked. No, I want to say one thing that comes from my heart, and that you really don't have an appreciation of what a wonderful recreation program we have, and how much it means to the community. I mean, the things that people do, the brochures that come out, that Nancy does, that are really very professional, and there's something for everybody. And outside the community of Burlington, I always commend her. As a matter of fact, I think and still do think more of recreation than I do of planning board. I've been a planning board member for a long while, but you make a wonderful contribution to the community. And I was telling somebody, the only thing I have on my wall at home is a picture of a Spitfire. It's like 3 by 2, and that was the plane that saved Britain during the Second World War. And I said, the only other thing I'm going to put up there is if you give me a little plaque. It'll go on the wall, but thank you very much. I don't know if people know, but how widespread recognition is, because the directors meet like once every 2 or 3 years. And 3 or 4 years ago, 300 plus times in Massachusetts, Brendan was recognized as their commissioner of the year. So not only is the commissioner here, but it's widespread. I would just say this too, finally, my favorite park is Wildwood, because that's not my neighbor. And what I love about it is you could not go by there without seeing people in the park, kids, people that your neighborhood too, and up in the basketball courts and everything, and that does my heart good, really. I mean, there's nothing planned or anywhere else that can give you appreciation of what Burlington does as far as recreation is concerned. Recently, Jay and I spoke to North Broadway, and we were driving into the Echo Lake, and the fee was like $20. And I said to her, it's a little park. I said, this is a little soccer. I said, what do you people doing charging $20? And she said, well, there's no funding in the state. Everything is, I said, I live in a town of 20,000 people, and I said, we spend almost $2 million. I said, you people are socialists, don't say it. So I'll just say that. And Peter Capola, because he was a wonderful representative to recreation. So thank you. I enjoyed it. And if I could be on recreation without being on a planning board, I'd love it.
You have to run against Steve next year.
No, I mean,
You should say thank
I
you.
put it
All right, so thank you. We have something to give to you.
Paul, for your years of service, something to help you pass the time in your spare time now. No alarm, and when it stops ticking, nothing happens. All right? It will stay there. But a little something from the commission for your 18 years of service. So if you'd like to get a picture, we can get a picture up here. All right. Thank you. Well,
Oh, here. Why don't you come up here, Paul?
Paul, you want to go
Come
back
on
around?
around.
This way, to the right might be easiest, actually.
Excellent. Get a good picture here. All right. everyone get in the photo?
Everyone's in, yeah. Got several this time, yes.
All right.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
When you get home, Nancy, you can take the ribbon off. I don't know if you guys noticed, but
On the other side, it says something else.
on the ribbon, it says retired on it. I only order flowers that have ribbons on it, so. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, Nancy. Good night, Ray.
Well, thank
Thank you,
you.
yeah.
All right.
Keep on keeping on.
I like that.
All right, so, moving on with the meeting. It's so nice to do this in public. We have the minutes of July 8th, 2021 to approve. Would someone like to make that motion?
Motion to approve.
By Tom, second
Second.
by Dave. Is there any discussion or changes?
July 8th?
July 8th,
Yep.
2021.
Bill, did you need to add your name to it?
Yeah, I was present, but I was not accounted for. so-
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
we will, I did add him to the original, but I wanted to actually make sure we got that in there tonight.
Okay,
So we do
sorry
need to
about
add.
that. I was looking for other things. I didn't even think to look for that. Okay, so can we just handwrite it in? It's just- And we can sign this copy too, right?
Yep,
So can we make a motion as amended? Oh, it doesn't
Motion
even,
to-
it wasn't amended. It was just added, so, as presented.
As presented.
Sound good?
good.
All right. Do we need a second for that? I'm rusty.
David seconded.
Dave by second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain,
All right, stay.
and so we have 4-0-1. Steve abstaining. Then we have the minutes of August 9th, 2021, which will go on the record as probably the shortest meeting in history. Does someone want to make a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
A second
Second.
by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose and abstain?
Abstain.
Okay, and so the 3-0-2? Excellent.
Sign those as well?
You want me to?
Steve and Bill.
You can have it if you want.
Thank you.
Public participation? We're good. Director of Parks and Recreation report?
Thank you. As you saw in the minutes from August 9th, Mark Woods was appointed as the next maintenance craftsman. He has accepted the position and will be starting on August 30th. Mark has worked for us, as I mentioned in that meeting, just so everybody knows, for the past 7 summers, not this summer. This past year, he's been working for the Newton DPW full-time. So we are excited to have Mark back to a full-time role with our Parks and Recreation Department. Simon's Pickleball Courts. Last Thursday, Kevin and I met with a group of neighbors on Church Lane regarding noise that was being generated by the new pickleball courts. It was agreed that the courts are beautiful, that they're well-played, but the noise was traveling across the road, much different from when it was tennis. We have put up some sound dampening barriers. In the neighbors feel there's little change from that. After walking around the area, we did decide to, on a trial basis, starting in September, to put some temporary courts down on the street hockey area. and remove the nets down below so that they can really get a feel that where the noise is coming from. We don't have two separate courts. And we're gonna try that out for a couple weeks and then regroup and see how it sounds, if there's a change. If there is, I think we'll make a change in the surfaces. We'll move pickleball up above, and move street hockey down below. We will have to, put down some permanent lines and have the stanchions put up above for pickleball. And actually, the company that did that project is actually the same company that's coming in to resurface the tennis courts over at Rahanis. So while they're here, I'm gonna have them come give me an estimate to we won't have to buy new stanchions. They'll just have to core the ground and put the sleeves in. And hopefully we can move everything up there. And I envision, a late fall or get it ready for next spring play. It's really gonna depend on the amount of money it's gonna cost to do that project. I don't think the painting of the surface will be that much, but the coring will obviously require a little more work. So we are working with the neighbors on that. And
So just follow up on that one. It's, I was new to pickleball and so forth, but there is a definite ping. It's a wood racket, a hard plastic ball. There is noise every time they hit the ball. And the problem is the courts are getting used a lot. I went one day and there were 4 games going on, 4 people at each game, and 12 people waiting to get on the courts. So it's a really nice problem. It's just balancing it with the neighbors. So hopefully moving it another 75 feet, at least 75 feet, right?
about that, yeah.
Away from the houses makes a difference, so.
Yeah, and it will be up a little higher, it will be set back, as Kevin mentioned, maybe 75 feet or so back, and a little on an angle from some of the neighbors, so, hopefully that works, and then we'll have to, Bill's staff putting those up, they weren't easy, they were, it's back-breaking stuff, so we'll, really have to plan the move of the sound dampening pads. They're not lightweight, they're about 100 pounds each, I think. So we'll have to look at that, but I think we'll get a good idea if they hear the ball less being hit from that distance, add the sound dampening to it, I think it'll be a pretty good result for them. They do realize that street hockey will be moving down below, so that is another animal there, but that is something that will be traded off. So, and we continue to look for locations to add pickleball courts elsewhere. I couldn't in my, right now see taking over a court at Rahanis to add pickleball there. I don't think, with only 7 tennis courts left in town, if we keep taking, we won't have tennis courts anymore, so. Steve?
Question through the chair, what about the Cummings Park? There aren't too many residents over there, could you put pickleball?
Right, so we can look at that down the road. We'd have to have a conversation with the city of Boston, which, even though there are certain conditions to us using, and, we wouldn't be able to put lights there, I don't think, but we can start that conversation. There is a piece off of that parking lot, I think that was designated for a playground in the past. There's not really neighborhoods up there for that. There is TRW right down the street. So that could be a potential area. We'll have to look at that. It's gonna need some site work and, to put down a base and everything, and then some fencing as well to keep it from going a ball. I don't think it will get hit that hard out into Blanchard Road, but definitely something we can look at. Yep.
In the discussion, it talked about it being probably a $50,000 to $75,000 project to build one from scratch. So it's not a small amount, but yeah.
Yep.
Any other comments, Dave?
So how do the sound dampening screens do anything?
you know, I stood out on the road for a half an hour one day, and with the cars going by, I could hear the ball a little bit, but the cars were the louder noise. But that's during the day when there's cars moving. Most people are at work. I think it's the all day on the weekend, it's the evenings, and it's a noise like they haven't had at the park before. So I think that's where the concern comes in.
Our most popular thing right now is pickleball. And we're gonna shut it down. I don't know. I think we either come up with, I'm having a hard time with this one, because pickleball's huge. I know, I can understand the residents, but we're doing everything we can, but now we're just switching from having young kids with hockey sticks going, you don't know what the difference is with that too, because they're not hearing it on that end, but that's moving over to that side.
Right.
So, I guess, like I said, we'll give it a try and see what happens, but, you know, one way or the other, they're gonna have noise there.
Yeah, so we'll put temporary lines down. You can buy temporary line sets that are like a adhesive that go down, and then we do have some nets already, so we'll be able to put up temporary nets there.
We have no other spot in the town that we can put up pickleball. I know down the line we're thinking of spots, but that's
Yeah.
not gonna happen anytime soon.
We don't have any parks with room to add 4 pickleball courts. You know, especially a paved area like that. There may be an area that's being paved soon that we could put down some temporary lines, but not at this time.
Okay.
Bill?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like the chairman, I was there Sunday morning at 8:30 in the morning, and like I said, there was 16 people playing, and there were probably a dozen or more people in line scampering to get onto the court, and it was very festive and boisterous and loud. That's at 8:30 on a Sunday. So I think I'd be in favor of it moving it back to that 75 feet. And like you said, if you have that angle, and if you step back, it's not next to the houses, it's off to the side, and you've got the woods to buffer that on that side of it as well. I think that'd be a benefit to the residents. In addition to that, some folks still continue to park down with the residents because it's closer to that lower court. If it's up over where the street hockey is, there may be a better chance that they'll park at the upper parking lot and not bother the residents that way. So I think shutting it down for the fall, you know, people will play later into it. I mean, we were playing into the snow fell, but, you know, I know we have a program that we were doing it indoors.
Yeah.
You have 2 courts at the gym there, and there may be a possibility, I don't know, for other indoor courts, if we need to expand that in the wintertime, but,
So I just want to be clear, we're not shutting it down, we're just moving that area
yeah.
to a trial area. We're not shutting down pickleball.
Yeah.
We are just going to move the area so they can be able to continue to play.
Shutting it down is not a bad idea either, to get the people, because most of the people there aren't Burlington residents. They're people that came over from Woburn because it's a higher level of play than Woburn, because I know people that want to play there from Burlington, and they go over to Woburn because it's a different level of play. So we've got, and I don't know if that's our own doing and our own enthusiasm with the folks that are involved in that, are bringing a lot of people over here and doing tournaments and things like that. We're creating our own issue here, I think, in some cases, and Kelly's nodding.
I had that conversation before the pickleball courts went in.
Yeah.
Because we had heard from other communities the impact that the pickleball courts would have as far as usage is concerned. And we had that conversation before they went in, and we were cautioning as many people as would listen not to do those kinds of things, and bringing people in from meetup or wherever, right? So now we are paying the price for that,
Yep.
which is good and bad at the same time. It's a good problem to have, but it's a problem nonetheless.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bill. So, and again, this is moving courts temporarily. Hopefully, if it works, then we bring up the mats and we put the mats ground level so that there's not a gap between the mat and the ground. So, we'll see.
Or finding something else to fill that gap, because I believe they have to hang from the,
Yeah, they have to
from
hang
the top
from the
rail.
rail.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah.
have to do something there.
Or add rails.
Support.
Yeah, okay. So Brendan, before you keep on going, Steve, I know you have to leave. Is there any issue you want to go over before you leave?
Well, Brendan and I talked a little bit before the meeting about the basketball courts at Simon's Park. I don't know if we have
Sure.
enough
Can
time
we-
to discuss that, but maybe Brendan
Sure,
can tell us
sure.
what the plans are.
Yep, they are on, it is on our 10-year plan for FY '23, so it'll be something we'll be discussing. You know, looking at that project as a whole, I know our maintenance division had done some repairs on one of the courts before the season took off, and we were out cutting and getting everything else. So you got basically one whole court done.
Yep.
Filled it. You know, we need to look bigger picture. One of the things that we've talked about for years is some kind of other exit out of Simon's Park. And how do you do that? Do you come out of that parking lot and down the hill and utilize, you know, maybe some of the basketball court to make an exit driveway, somewhere where cars can queue up and then exit safely out onto the street? I don't know if that could even be done. The only reason I bring that up is, do we look at resurfacing those courts, so filling the cracks and putting a whole new top surface on it, repaint them, so it's a solid, nice, clean surface without any cracks, and then do some backboards? Or do we look at, you know, long-term saying, you know, we're not gonna ever get a second exit out of Simon's Park. We're just gonna reclaim these courts, put in new light poles, put in, you know, appropriate lights, and redo the courts, the backboards, the poles, and everything that way. So it's a conversation we need to have and address, because I'd hate to do that second step and then 2 years after that say, well, we can really do this driveway, but now it's gonna cut through one of those courts that we just spent money on, you know, redoing, so reclaiming and completely redoing. So there's two options. We can fix the cracks, similar to what we're doing with the tennis courts, fix the cracks, get 8 to 10 years out of them, resurface them, put up new backboards on the existing poles, and then, you know, look at lights down the road, just keep the same lighting system. So that's something that, you know, we need to look at as a staff, but also any input here. If you do have some, we welcome that.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
a quick follow-up,
Go
Mr.
right
Chairman,
ahead.
if I could. Brendan, are there any engineers or designers looking at the new exit issue?
No, it's something that's been floated around for a long time, and, you know, I think Saturday, Celebrate Burlington was probably a good example. When everyone starts to leave from an event that's held, then it just bogs up in that driveway, and you come out, and your left turn is really, 3 car lengths before you get to Cambridge Street. So, you know, we did explore having it right turn only, leaving there, but it's not something that the traffic group at the time, I forget what officer it was, but didn't find that was something that would be a help there. You know, having a right turn only, so having another way out, and maybe it's something for large events that we keep gated, and we just open it as a, you know, so it's not a permanent exit, but the idea of having somewhere to go on those large events to prevent the backup in the park and then on that stretch of Bedford Street. I could ask the town engineer to look at it. You know, it'll go into their stack of things to do.
That was my next question.
But
Do we look for, you know, a warrant article to study the issue as a commission? Because I'm not sure, like you say, the town engineer has the time to do that?
Right.
Or do we first reach out to him and ask him what his input
I think
might be?
that's where we can probably start, is having the town engineer look at that and see if it's something they have time to look at. They have a couple engineers over there, and not to say they have time on their hands, but I can ask if that's something that someone could study. At least give us an idea. if we're going down the right road or we're not. So I will, trying to find my agenda here, sorry. I will start that conversation.
Okay, Tom?
It sounds like if this was on the capital list for a couple of years down the road, it sounds like there's going to be plenty of time to talk about it between now and then, but just based on my knowledge of Simon's Park, I can't envision a driveway coming down over the hill next to one of the, a very highly used ball field, cutting through and then trying to get out to Bedford Street. So I've heard the discussions about a second egress over the years, and to me, if logistically easier one, I would think would be going down the back and cut through the woods a little bit. It's a little less of a grade. It's a pretty steep grade going over that hill with the Little League field on one side and the other little field down the bottom there and going between. And taking those one or two basketball courts out of commission, those have always been fairly well used. So I'm obviously willing to listen to any engineering reports or studies that can be done, and I understand there's an issue, however many times a year you have a big event up there. But maybe instead of paying engineers and construction, we just put a police officer on duty or something just to try to move it along, and maybe there already is one, I don't know. But if you get a detail out there, I think that would help people get out and take lefts, because otherwise you're at the mercy of somebody coming up Bedford Street.
Right.
And I just, I would favor putting money into the existing basketball courts and bringing them back up to speed, because I just think they're good facilities. They always have been for years.
Yeah, I would look to, there is ledge behind the basketball courts to move the courts up a little, so if you could put, because the ledge to blast that out would probably be,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just there's a lot going on in a very small area there, and there's always kids running up and down the hill, and there's just seems to me it would be practically difficult to try to get a driveway in there somehow with the grade and everything else.
Okay, anyone on this side?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would agree with Commissioner Murphy on that, heading down from the upper parking lot to the first hole for disc golf, which I do regularly as well. That's a very, very steep decline there. I just, like Commissioner Murphy said, I just trying to figure out how that's absolutely could be possible. And I like the idea of, on the big events that you have, how many times a year, having some detail there, and I think that's an excellent idea. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, excellent.
Thank
Steve,
you,
you
Kevin.
good?
I do have to leave. Thank you.
All
very
right, yeah, no, thank you for sharing.
yep.
See you, Steve. Yep.
Okay, Brendan?
Okay, thank you. The tennis court resurfacing project at Rahanis, we will be looking at the week of August 23rd through 27th, so that's next week. And we've begun to notify residents through our social media. We're emailing our Club 50 tennis program, and we anticipate the work taking about a week. Obviously, it's weather dependent, so if we get a rainy stretch, it'll push beyond a week. But that project is a FY22 warrant article. I'm sorry, FY21 warrant article that got pushed off from this spring with COVID and the availability of supplies. It was going to take place in June, and then the supplies still weren't in, so we're into August. But it will be completed in this month, in a week. So, again, weather dependent. Parking lot paving, they've completed all the site work, the guardrails are up, they have the final coat of asphalt to go on, and they're just working, engineering department is working with the paving company on that. We had Nancy in here earlier, the position that she retired from. We've just completed the first round of interviews for the position a second time, and we've narrowed the field down to 4 candidates. The candidate pool was definitely stronger this time, so we're thankful for that, and we hope to have someone on board right after Labor Day. So will come to the commission for an appointment at our next meeting, and hopefully they'll be starting right after. Our field maintenance program, I'm sure Bill's gonna touch on this, just we are into our August treatments, so some of the properties, parks and playgrounds were treated for weeds, and then we will begin aerating and fertilizing and overseeding some of the fields. The fields have really held up over the summer, lots of grass with all the rain, and the guys have done a really good job trying to stay on top of everything. It does get clumpy because it rains and grows before we can get out there to cut it, but the fields are definitely healthy, they're green, and we are getting some good results from the work that they're doing.
On that, are we, some of the baseball fields, the weeds are coming in, is that purpose or just not enough time, or they're not being used and we're not spending the money on them,
Oh, and the clay.
on the clay?
Yeah, some of them haven't been used as much. I've had them go around and start ripping up, at least ripping up the clay with the tines to keep the weeds down on some of those fields as over the last week or so, 2 weeks or so. The fields that haven't been used, but yeah, we're trying to keep on top of it.
Okay. Anyone? Field maintenance? Okay.
All right, so we are awaiting another casualty of the grand old pandemic here is our equipment. So the overseeder that we ordered is due in the second week in September. We ordered that back in on July 1st. They thought they had some in stock. The salesman said that those were already out the door. So we should have it for our September seating. We will be broadcast seating this time, and then hopefully it's here when we start to seed again in late September, and we'll have that on hand to be able to seed with our new overseeder. And then our sunshade, I've been working on the specs for the installation. The project is set to hit the central registry in 2 weeks. It'll sit out there for 2 weeks, and then hopefully get construction going the end of September. It'll be a good time. Everyone will be back in school, and we'll have more access to the playground at Wildwood. And while we're on Wildwood topic, we have Eagle Scout is putting in his second Gaga ball pit. Work this weekend, is going to work again Wednesday, and finish it this coming weekend. So we'll have Gaga ball pits at Rahanis, Regan, Wildwood, and that's it. So. Yes, and thank you. This one will be accessible. It's going to have a door right at ground level, so we'll be able to, someone with a disability will be able to get in and participate as well.
Okay, questions for Brendan? Nope. Okay. Park Superintendent report?
All right. We started working out of our new building the week of July 26th, the week of the ribbon cutting, and it's quite an adjustment. Obviously, we're still getting used to it. We're still using some of the bays up at Overlook to store equipment, to store some of the attachments and supplies. It's a little tight in the new place because the DPW is still there until their building is built. So we're, like I said, still using Overlook for some storage, the carpentry shop and one of the bays of the old building. Celebrate Burlington was August 7th, and the staff spent a lot of time trimming and landscaping the common to prepare for it. We put out the picnic tables, barrels, set up the tent and stage, and all the other things that we needed to support the event. Like Brendan was talking about, we're getting started aerating and fertilizing about 8 different areas this week. We already picked up the fertilizer and got the aerator hooked up to the tractor, and everything's ready to go. Schools are opening on August 30th. Trim crew's been very busy getting the school grounds in shape. We'll be getting a truckload of playground mulch the week of the 23rd. start spreading that to the different playgrounds. Fall sports is starting at the end of this week, and we've been getting ready for that also, cutting and laying out the fields for soccer and football. And we've been doing our best to keep up with trimming, cutting, lining, ball field grooming, restroom maintenance, and trash pickup.
Okay, questions for Bill?
Mr. Chairman, just, how's the new, so the transition to the new building, we still have to keep stuff up at Overlook?
We have quite a few things still up there, because we don't have room, the highway department's all parking in the parking spots in the back, and that's where we'd put a lot of our attachments and things like that. So we're storing a lot still up the shop. That'll be, until that building's built, I assume 16 months or so.
Really? So we're not touching anything up there as far as the buildings until that other building's done?
Right, so the plan is the highway guys will have 2 trailers out in the parking lot that'll be their home base, out in front of our new building. And then in the winter, they have 8 large dump trucks,
Which will be parked inside.
which will be
The
parked
Sanders.
inside. Yeah, they have the Sanders on them, they can't be outside, they can't freeze up, so they'll be inside. There'll be enough space for our guys to get our vehicles in as well, but it's gonna be an adjustment for a year and a half. But we have full use of the facility, all the other shops, the offices, the workspaces and stuff. But we do have to share that large storage bay, while their building is being built.
Oh,
And
okay.
while we can, we're still storing paint and fertilizer and stuff up at the old shop.
And when their building is all done, the blue metal garage and the other building to the left of it are scheduled to be demolished. We'll keep the players' building and the long building down the left. So it will give them some flexibility, like in the winters, you can keep like small equipment that they're not using, mowers and stuff like that can be stored in the garage up there and just out of the way completely. And then come back in the summertime, spring and summer.
Do they like, how's it working out with the location? We're not really got the fall traffic yet, where, coming on.
No, it's good. It's strange. I mean, half the guys have already said that to go back to the shop, they've started heading that way, and including me.
Yeah.
But, it's just different. It's certainly nice, a lot nicer than the old place.
Good. That's it.
Okay, playgrounds, the weeds. What can be done, other than weed whacking them? Because weed whacking them isn't getting rid of them, it's just hiding them for a week. They kind of need to be pulled or dug up or machine. What do you do to get rid of them? Because they seem to be starting to overgrown.
Well, in the past, we sprayed a lot, but we can do less of that now. Weed whacking is pretty much the extent of it.
But it's not really getting rid of the weeds, it's just
Right. We just have
spreading the weeds probably more because
Well-
you're putting the grass clippings back in the mulch.
we just have to get around a little more to them. I mean, I know when the trim crews around the schools, they're getting around to the playgrounds less. We just have to put weed whackers in more hands.
But is it only a weed whacker? I don't know, I was at the Wildmere tot lot.
Yep.
It's, the weeds are going further and further into the playground. It just,
Yeah, it's something that, again, kind of like the clay on the fields, if you go around with the tines and move things around, it tends to keep them down more. We just have to do more of that.
do we have any college kids left that can go in there and yank them out? Spend a day at each park?
We've got 3 left, 4 left. But
We are working on
Yeah, we can
keeping
do
some
yeah.
around into end of October. We do have some that are sticking around.
Weed whacking it isn't fixing it though, it's just hiding it for a little while.
So you're suggesting getting them dug out as best we can?
Well, it's something,
Yeah.
other than weed whacking them. It's just, you're not making the park any better by weed whacking them. You're just hiding it for a little while. So, that's my input.
Right.
Yank them out.
We can't spray them at all?
We can spray them, but certainly not as much as we used to.
Brendan's smiling there.
Yes, we can spray.
I'm smiling at Dave's facial
I
expression.
mean, I don't know, I'd spray them. I mean,
I'm okay with that, but weed whacking them,
yeah, because I agree with you, weed whacking, they're gonna take care of it, but to kill a weed, you know, for us to pull weeds in these parks with everything that's going on, going into the fall seasons, you know, I'm not saying you guys can't do it, you know what I mean, but spraying it would probably be, because, you know, but even weed whacking, just weed whack them so at least it looks better. Maybe we gotta work on the weed whacking, so we don't see as many weeds, for now until we can spray them. But it's tough to. I
Weeds
mean,
start-
I
weeds
weeded
start
I
dying
weeded
out
my
in
house
August.
yesterday, it's crazy how much the weeds, it's crazy how they
Yeah.
take over.
Yeah, they will start dying out as it gets cold at night. You know, they're good through August, early September, maybe
It
they
wasn't too
start
bad
fading
until
out.
like the last couple of weeks, I really noticed it. I noticed it at Regan, I was down there the other day.
Less rain, more heat, and then
Yeah.
they take off.
Um,
Tom?
For the record, for one of my school committee colleagues, for my own personal safety, we're not spraying anything on the school playgrounds, correct?
No, just
Correct.
our parks.
Make sure that goes in the minutes, too.
Please.
Yep, yes. No, we are strictly talking parks and playgrounds.
All right, well, do what you can.
We will.
Next year, maybe we get a dedicated weed person.
Okay.
Put that in the job description.
Dedicated
Weed
weed.
specialist needed.
Maybe not.
Oh, they'll be lined up
Maybe
out
not.
the door.
Yes, they will.
But we don't know what the kids would think that would be for a job.
Yeah, they might.
Maybe they would be lined up outside the door.
Okay. Kelly, for the programming, do you have a report, especially Celebrate Burlington, how it went?
I am going to talk to you guys today about the end of summer programming. So programs ended for us, the majority of programs ended on Friday. We have one program running this week at Rohannes Park. We keep that park open for an additional week to kind of bridge the gap between our programs ending and school starting. Over the next couple of weeks, we have a lot of camps that are coming in. We have this week cheerleading and football camp. We also have Wicked Cool Vet School. Popped my head in there today, and they were taking organs out of a tiger, a stuffed tiger. It was very interesting. The kids loved it. I thought it was weird, but whatever. To each their own. We have some of those STEM camps as well as sports camps over the next couple weeks. This year is the first year of school since I've been here, school starting before Labor Day. So we had to reschedule some of our stuff, which we had going through that week of August 30th. So we rescheduled and canceled some of those things and reworked them, but that all worked out. Our staff was great this summer. We had a great group of directors who were very excited to be there on a regular basis. They were supportive of each other. They were helping each other out behind the scenes, thinking of games and activities to do. So I want to commend them and our staff for another great summer. They really did a great job this year, especially because we were a little short-staffed. So we made it work with what we had, and they did a great job. Our waiting pool is still open. The waiting pool will be open until August 27th. We go back to typical hours now that the camp is closed. That is Mondays noon to 7, Tuesday through Sunday. We're open 10 to 7, and we have staff there until the 27th, at which point we'll close. We also had a pickleball tournament on August 9th. Our Club 50 program had a pickleball tournament. They had, Bill, you're going to correct me if I'm wrong here, I know it, but 16 men and 16 women in a double elimination tournament where you pull your partners, and it's pretty interesting if you've never been to one. We have one pretty much every season with Club 50, so that was exciting.
You got to touch on Celebrate Burlington.
I know. We had Celebrate Burlington on the 7th. It was a beautiful day. The weather was great. It was an amazing weather day. Everything kind of went off without a hitch, I think. We did a new VIP lunch area instead of a dinner area, which was well received from the sponsors who took part in it. There are a few kinks for us to work out next year, but overall I think it was a good first event back from the pandemic. A lot of people were there. I think personally, and Brendan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, there were more people at the fireworks that night on the Common than there were during the day at the event, and that's probably because the event is 4
Spread
hours
out,
long,
yeah.
right? So we see people intermittently, but the Common was packed for Mo Bounce and the fireworks that night, so it was a good day overall, I think. Our staff did a great job there as well.
They were definitely spread out on the Common. The entertainment was excellent, a lot of energy. And when we announced them, people were like, I love Mo Bounce, I can't believe they're coming to Burlington. They did a really nice job, and yes, the Common was jammed. I think people spread out, and like you said, hadn't seen fireworks in 2 years almost, so seeing them was good, being able to get out and do that, so. And it was outdoors, so that was a good thing too. But a lot of hard work put on, by our program and maintenance staff to make that day happen. I just received a thank you today from Pat Angelo. Commented how wonderful it was to be able to get out and see friends and that she hadn't seen in a long time, and complimented the staff. So I don't know, I put the note on Kelly's desk before we came over here, just got it, and I'll share it with the maintenance staff as well, but it was nice to see, someone appreciated all the hard work that goes into it. Because it's not, and this year was 2 months planning instead of 8 months or close to a year of planning, so everything came about a lot quicker this year. So thought it went smoothly, and I thought the businesses and community groups that came out was excellent. Would you say 90% of the groups, and businesses that support, 80 to 90%, somewhere in there, came this year as well? That was supported in the past?
It was closer to 60%.
60? I thought
60% of
all the same ones were there, it seemed like, so. All right, that's all right. I thought it was pretty full with the same groups.
Well, like that you thought.
Yeah, see? So if I thought that,
But we're at 60% for businesses and about 40% for nonprofits returning. So those numbers were down.
I stand corrected.
Those numbers were down, but I think it was still successful nonetheless.
Excellent. Comments, questions for Kelly?
I would just say, Kelly, I unfortunately did not make it. I was coming back from vacation, and I should have been there, but I didn't make it. But I did see all the pictures through our Instagram posts and all our social media, and it looked unbelievable. So it really, really did. It looked packed to me the whole time. I'm sorry I wasn't able to man one of my stations. I usually like that, hanging out with the kids. But, you put a lot of work into it, the staff, the maintenance staff, all you guys. Like Brendan said, 2 months. You don't know going in what the restrictions are going to be. And you put that together for the residents of Burlington, and I know they appreciate it. I appreciate it. Job well done.
Excellent. It was, all the equipment was really good quality, it seemed, in the staff that support it.
They're great people, we like them.
Yeah, they do a nice job. So coming for the fall, so far there's no restrictions yet, or how are
That's
you?
correct. So far, there's no restrictions unless you're in a school building.
Okay. Well, I wish you luck.
Fingers crossed.
Every week I wish you luck as the announcements come up. I wouldn't want that, having to worry about it every week, what's the announcement and the rule. It was a long year last year. Okay, thank you. You did a great job. Thank you. Bill, thank you. Common looked awesome for the day. It was, the whole summer it's been looking great, so. Excellent. I don't really have anything on chairman's report. Any of the subcommittees or boards, comments?
On the sculpture park, we have a meeting next week. They're going to be, Jonathan Sachs is going to be stepping down as the chairman of that board, and Bob LaRue's going to, I think, step up and take over. Jonathan's going to be more of the hands-on, but he's pretty busy with all the other stuff he has going on. They just put up a new piece in the sculpture park that was donated by Maureen Wall, who I actually went to school with. It was nice. They sort of introduced it for Celebrate Burlington. So they're looking for funding, and they're trying to think of ways to come up with, to be able to buy those sculptures. I think they're having a little rough time with it, so they're trying to come up with new ideas. So that's something we're going to be working on.
Excellent. John, anything?
Nothing.
Schools?
We're meeting tomorrow night, but we haven't met for a month, but there's nothing on the agenda from our standpoint right now. I mean, as Bill said, we're going to be starting gearing up for the fall sports, but, nothing out of the ordinary.
Excellent. All right, so new business, we went out of order. The only one that we didn't recognize was Herb Johnson. He was the gentleman that kind of walks around the common and picks up the trash and everything. I had a wrong telephone number for him, so I finally connected with him. He couldn't make it tonight, so I'm going to go over to his house and present the certificate of appreciation. I said, unfortunately, I couldn't get you as Citizen of the Year, but certificate of appreciation and a big thank you. So if anyone else, if someone does something special, it would be nice if we have public meetings in the future that we say thank you to them. It's just a nice thing. I know you have lots of volunteers that help out, and if you see someone doing something, it would be nice, it's a nice part of the meeting to say thank you. So, great. Okay. Any other new business?
Actually, one thing I just did want to mention, and I think Kelly kind of mentioned in passing, there is a mask requirement for school buildings that they just put in place for the foreseeable future, which is, I think, one of the reasons why we met here tonight, so we could have our presentations without that. But if we're going to go back to the school committee room, starting our next meeting, whatever that is, just to give everybody a heads up that until further notice, you're going to have to wear masks.
So you're gonna wear a mask at the meetings?
Yeah,
In person?
yeah. We did that before for the school committee. And, it's a little annoying, and it doesn't do much for the communication part of it, but, you got to do it. So-
Okay.
So just so everybody's aware.
All right. Sound good? Bill?
One other mention, we talked a little bit about disability access. The last 2 times I've been up at the community garden, there's a person there minding the raised bed that's there for handicap. But she parks way down in the parking lot down at the school. And I know there's a big sign there that says, you gotta park down at the school, you can't park at, is it Laurel Lane up there,
Laurel Lane,
right?
yep.
Is there any way to kind of make an exception to the handicapped person that can park right up there? I mean, there's no parking signs up there, it's just, something I think for her, to get her wheelchair all the way up, It just doesn't make sense. And Tom, I know you might be surprised, maybe there's a compromise here from Bill Gaffney, but it just doesn't make sense for me to have her wheel all the way up. And maybe, maybe noticing the neighborhood to say, nobody's gonna park up there unless they're a handicap. They probably have the handicap plates and signs and everything. Is that something we could accommodate for that person? She does an excellent job. If you've been up there at the community garden, her raised bed there is beautiful. She's doing a great job. So she's been up there the last 2 times I've been up there on Sunday afternoons and get out of the heat a little bit, and that's when she heads up.
So,
I don't know,
Brendan, in the original garden, the neighbors put up some resistance about the gardeners being in parking on Laurel Lane, in front of their houses, near their houses. So the agreement back then was that, the gardeners had to park in the school.
Understood.
That's the rationale.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think common sense, and common decency, there's gotta be some wiggle room in there.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we can work on that. I probably have to go to the traffic group to see if they can put, it would be designated an accessible spot at the end of that street. We'd probably have to invite neighbors, notify neighbors, but invite them to be a traffic meeting, I believe, so we might have to attend that. So let me see who the traffic officer is now. Traffic control, I think they call, I forget what the name is, and then we can start looking into that. It'll be a little bit of a process, I think, but, maybe not for this garden season,
Yeah,
but for
that's good.
next year. That is a good point. We do have accessible beds there, and being able to come in and,
Come on the other way,
yeah.
I think is there something going on up there, because I've seen emails going back and forth, there's gonna be some sort of a meeting with the neighbors. And I don't know if Peter's looking to expand
I
something.
am
or
unaware
move.
of any of that, so,
And I'm not quite sure of the details either, so maybe I'm speaking out of school, but I guess the point is, if there is gonna be some type of a neighborhood meeting, I can maybe add that to the list, just to give them a heads up and see if there's any. I can't imagine anybody would object to that, but I guess you never know.
Okay, so Kelly's there. Is school committee, school department taking over the gardens? There was a rumor of that. Wasn't it a few meetings ago?
that.
Or was that just,
Well, yeah, that was something I was forwarded some emails, but I think, Tom, you had mentioned that it wasn't anything that you guys had
Not that I-
decided on.
No, there's nothing that
So-
we've decided on, I can tell you that, and, but I did see something that, I don't know if something's being expanded or moved or whatever, and there was a potential maybe having to take down a tree or two, and then, so we pointed out that there's gonna have to be some discussion with the neighbors about that, because we promised we would do that, so.
Now,
And I'll get some detail on that, but if there is gonna be a neighborhood meeting of some sort, I'll add Bill's suggestion to the things to talk about.
Thank you.
Yeah, there was some talk of, I think it was Peter Capola wanted to remove some trees to allow more sunlight in
Someone
there.
is, okay.
So, and Bob Kuna and I have both talked to him, and, he's aware of the process.
Good.
He hasn't, there's been no proposal since we oversee the garden,
Okay.
no proposal has come to
I'll-
us.
I'll look into it, but if there is going to be some sort of neighborhood communication, I'll add handicap parking to the things to talk about.
okay, excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's really professional. I'm because saying Bill. And no other new business. Is there any old business, Brendan?
Nope. I think we've covered all the old business too,
Okay.
squeezed in there.
Yeah, just out of order.
Yep.
Executive session? No reason.
No need.
Okay, so next meeting, we're into September? Is
Yep.
there no need for anything in August, right?
Correct. Unless, no, I don't think there will be unless we have a choice for,
We need to vote, appoint a position.
right? We're gonna do second interviews, sorry, I'm just looking at the calendar here, the 26th, maybe one on the 25th, and then the 26th. So the earliest I'd have something is the week of the 30th. If I need a a meeting if we found this solid candidate and it looks good, maybe that week. If not, right after Labor Day. Labor
Okay.
Day's a Monday, so we can't meet then, so we'd have to meet on the 13th or have something the week after Labor Day. You know, the Tuesday through Friday after Labor Day.
Okay.
For that kind of vote. Otherwise, a meeting on the 13th is fine.
Does that work? for
I'm
everyone?
actually out of town that date. but-
So traditionally, we do Mondays.
Okay.
6 o'clock or 7 has been the time because it didn't interfere with planning board, school committee. So it just one day that you're not available?
Just that one, yeah, just, I'm not available that whole week, but just for that week, otherwise.
Okay.
The week of the
Go back
13th?
Week
on
of the
Mondays
13th.
at
Okay.
night type of a thing? Is that the
It would,
plan, or what's the?
it seems more, I would like to meet in person if we can. If it's safe. You know, if it's not safe, then we can go, if we're allowed to go back to Zoom, we go back to Zoom.
The Zoom is open through next April. So we
Right.
have that ability all the time.
Yeah.
The order is available through April 30th.
I'd rather, if we gotta wear a mask, I'd rather do Zoom. That's me. But I'll go by the other
Oh,
chairman.
no, it's, any
I
input?
would rather see people's faces than,
Yeah,
I don't know,
and-
that's
and,
me.
I mean, I don't know if this room's available at this time on Monday's alternate,
well,
the
usually,
selectmen.
we usually with the selectmen here, but I don't know why they're not here tonight, but everyone's just doing one a month during the.
Right, right.
But
But I mean,
we're usually on the same track as them.
yeah, if, you're right, so, but if we did opposite Mondays from them, then I don't think there's another group that uses
Yeah, I have no problem meeting here,
Mondays.
but
Okay, Bill, input?
Yeah, no, either way, I'm good, yeah.
Okay.
Is 6 o'clock better for people than, I think, 6 o'clock works good for me.
Get you guys home earlier.
I know it'll probably work for Kelly and Bill as well, better than 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that. I know we used to do 7 because Paul used to say he eats dinner at 6.
Yes, yeah. No, so why don't we just play it by ear? It'll be
Okay,
interesting with
that's
2
fine.
weeks from now, what the rules are
Okay.
and then we can do straw polls that's,
Yeah.
on what
Yeah.
works in person or Zoom.
can we, if we have to appoint someone, can we do that Zoom and just do a quick meeting?
Yeah, we
If you
can do
have
that.
to, if we wanna get him or her hired right away,
Yep,
Oh, I'm totally fine with that.
okay. And
that
then we
worked
have,
out well last week for the other.
yeah,
Yep.
then we have fall town meeting, September town meeting, the 27th. So,
Okay,
we just have the Simon's Trust for that, so.
all right. And can we, coming up in September, can we start talking about warrant articles that are 10-year, 20-year plan, 10-year plan? Just what's on the radar, and someday I'd like sprinkler systems to be on the fields that don't have water, be an item, so that the only way we can make fields better is if they have water, so. And that's not on any of our 10-year plans anywhere, so. Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn
So moved.
by Tom, second by Dave. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, so 4-0-0.